Hey there everyone, and welcome to my first ever ladder prediction video. In this video, I'll be going through my ladder prediction that I got from the NRL ladder predictor, which you can find on the official NRL website. Since we are now 6 rounds out from the final series and State of Origin is now in the past, so now it's all focused towards the finals. This list is only my personal opinion, and with predictions that I have created, I would recommend not following and using this as the final list. Again, like I always say in my tipping videos, that I am not a professional and I don't know the game as well as other people I know. I also decided that with the current state of what the ladder is in, that I will go from top to bottom, because it's no mystery on who is at the top and who is at the bottom. I feel like this is probably the better way to approach this. So I just also want to say, if you guys really like the video, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Even tell me your ladder prediction. Maybe there's some difference there. And honestly, if you have a completely different ladder prediction, I completely understand that, and that's absolutely fine. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in first, and what my prediction is the minor premiers of this year, is the Penrith Panthers. Now, I have the Penrith Panthers going to be finishing on 46 points, which will be 6 points clear of the second place. Panthers are almost 10 points clear within first place. This is a given that they are going to be the premiers of this year. And that's completely fine, because Panthers have actually been very dominant this year, with only one loss towards Parramatta back in, I want to say round... Yeah, I don't really remember. They are the best team in the comp and have only lost once this year, as I said. But I don't remember what round. It was a really close game too, and Parramatta just really slipped by. And again, we'll get to the whole Parramatta fiasco shortly, because I have to talk about Panthers in the Parramatta section, and you'll see why. They have a guaranteed spot in the finals and will most likely visit the grand final again for the second year in a row. Up next, the North Queensland Cowboys. Cowboys are either going to come second or third depending on the point differential. Surprisingly, they are the team who have improved the most this year, coming from dead last to one of the top teams of the comp. Now, I know last year Bulldogs actually got last position on the ladder and they got the wooden spoon, but I know the Cowboys were actually really close. Most of the teams they face will be an easier time, minus probably the Rabbitohs and the Panthers in the last round. The only thing they have going for them in the Panthers game is that they will be a home game, so they will have the crowd up their back. Roll off on that point, only 2 more games will be played at the home before the finals. So they might have a bit of a tougher time away than they do at home. But out of all the games that they actually have coming up, they will probably have an easier time than some of the other teams that I'll go through. Coming in at number 3 is probably one of the more controversial picks, but honestly, I think there is a good reason for this, and that is the Brisbane Broncos. Out of all of the teams that are in the top 4, Broncos have one of the easiest routes to the finals. Every team they face up to the finals are below them, and 4 of those will be at Suncorp. I can see one tough challenge coming up in the Melbourne Storm, but with how injuries are occurring, they will have a better chance here than they did in round 15, and unlike that game, it'll be at home. So I definitely do see the Broncos coming in 3rd place this year over the Sharks and over the Storm. Broncos are actually finding some good form. When I was watching them face Eels the other day, they looked like a completely different team and they were really switched on, and I reckon they are definitely going to do some damage. So Broncos at 3rd. And at number 4, and capping off the top 4, is the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks at 36 points. All of the Sharks games after this week's clash will be with all bottom 8 teams, so they will have an easy run to the finals like the Broncos. However, unlike the Broncos, only 3 of those will be at their home ground. The Sharks are also showing no signs of falling over and are travelling well, and I do think they are going to make the 4th spot over the next team, which I'm about to talk about. Kicking off the bottom of the top 8 is number 5, the Melbourne Storm. It's a bit unfortunate to see a top tier team fall below the top 4, but their run is only going to get tougher from here. They only have 2 more games at their home ground, and they also have to face 2 teams in the top 4, including Panthers and Broncos, plus both of those games will be away, putting them at a disadvantage. The other tough game for them will also be with the Eels in their last round. This is mainly because of injuries and suspensions, but they soon will pick up their ground again soon, but it won't be enough to make the top 4. In fact, I'm actually looking at the document right now that I've written all this up. Storm are actually clear of the top 4. Sharks are clear to seal off the top 4 by two wins, essentially. So, because I've got the Sharks to win at 36 points and the Storm to win at 32 points. A bit unfortunate. I think Storm have just had some unfortunate luck this year. I definitely don't see them being premiership contenders, but yeah, I mean, they almost made the grand final last year, and you kind of saw they were kind of starting to slip that consistency this year, because this year Storm have not been as a dominant force as they've been in the last like 5 years, and it's kind of sad to see, but hey, at the same time, it was bound to happen. One of those strong teams that always, so yeah, Storm at 5. Coming in 6th place, we have the South Sydney Rabbitohs. This is a simple one. Latrell is a beast. Since Latrell has come back, this team has been really, really, really good. Honestly, I kind of called them beating the Melbourne Storm, and I definitely see them beating a few upsets coming up in the next couple of weeks. They still have to face the Panthers in a grand final rematch in round 23, and also have to beat the Cowboys in round 24. However, the thing going for them is they are both at home games. I do see the Rabbitohs doing well in the finals as well, but not enough to get to the grand final. So unfortunately, although I do see them in the top 8, I don't see them being a top contender team. Rabbitohs at number 6. Number 7, and honestly, after writing this script and actually reviewing it, I probably would take this back. If I had to readjust this entire list right now, I'd probably take this back. And that is the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles with 30 points. With Turbo out, they have done a lot better than anticipated. Out of all of the games they have remaining, they have 3 games at home, 3 games with teams higher or even with them on the ladder. All of them are at home, with the rest of the games with sides below them in terms of tier. Manly were originally my prediction to actually win this year's premiership with how good they were starting to look, but with injuries and Origin, they really took some hits, and even losing their first game to 0 points against the Broncos. It's also a bit unfortunate, I want to mention this as well, is that the Rooster game that's coming up this week, as I record this, 7 players have been stood down, and have stood down voluntarily due to a conflict of interest in the jersey. So that is going to put them at a disadvantage, and I definitely see them doing worse than I have put them here. So number 7, the Sea Eagles. Number 8, and finishing off the top 8, is the Raiders. Now, the Raiders have some nice wins in the last couple of weeks, and I think they will keep winning games -1. The game I am talking about with this is with the Penrith Panthers, though it'll be a home game for them, so that's got one thing going for them. Besides that one game, all of the teams are below them on the ladder and have a really good chance of getting into the top 8. However, they're going to have to keep up their performance. If they slip even once, I definitely think number 9 on this list will definitely make the 8. Alright, starting off the bottom 8 of teams, and coming in at number 9 is the Parramatta Eels. Now, after the loss to the Broncos, this was a given. Mainly because their run to the finals now is going to be one of the tougher ones. Parramatta probably have one of the hardest runs to the finals, with about to face Penrith again. However, Panthers only lost to the Eels and they were away at the time. 4 teams above them on the ladder, with one of them being the Broncos at home. And Broncos at home, by the way. I believe that is Parramatta. Hang on, I'm going to double. Yeah, so they've got Brisbane, but they're going to be away. So Brisbane's going to be at Suncorp. So that's probably going to have a tougher. And the fact they weren't able to beat Brisbane at their home stadium, I definitely don't think they will be able to beat them at Suncorp. So this is probably going to be one of their tougher runs to the finals that they've had in recent years. And out of all of the games that they're going to have, I only see one of them doing really well in, and that's against the Sea Eagles. And that's it. I definitely think the Bulldogs can upset them again, but it's going to come down to if the Bulldogs actually have it in them. And I definitely think the Rabbitohs can upset them as well. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to put Eels as a safe prediction in number 9. Again, I do think the Eels can make the 8. It's just going to be a really tough time for them to do it. Number 10, the St. George Illawarra Dragons. So I'm not going to lie, I don't have much to say about the Dragons. Now, Dragons have a few tough games coming up, including Cowboys, Sharks, and Raiders. Though they have an easy way into this spot with the rest of the teams, those games I see going either way or dominant over the Dragons. So every game that I did not mention out of Cowboys, Sharks, and Raiders, I definitely think Dragons have an easy time coming up. So I don't actually have much to say. I think they've done better. I think, did they improve from last year? I'm not entirely sure. 11th to 10th. They've improved by 1 spot. Wow. Okay. That's a bit of a shocker, but hey, that's, I guess that's business for you. Number 11, the Sydney Roosters. Roosters this year have had just some terrible luck, but their strength is slowly coming back in the last few weeks with 2 impressive wins, except they were against teams that were either even or below them on the ladder. Roosters have a majority of their games at home, but they will need to take on the Broncos, have beaten before and it's at home, Cowboys, who have also been beat before and it's at home. But remember, don't forget, these 2 teams have now found really good form, so it's going to be tough for the Roosters to kind of get over them. Storm. Now, the game with Storm is going to be at Amy Park, so it's going to be a really tough game for them. And the Rabbitohs, a home game who they've lost to before. So they'll be at home for that game, but they have lost to the Bunnies before on that. So I don't think the Roosters are going to go too much further. Again, it's just when it comes to really good teams just slipping in power, this is like one of the reasons why I think the Roosters are down here. And I definitely think that the Storm are going to slowly start to slip. I wouldn't say the Storm are going to slip down into the bottom 8, but I definitely see them eventually slipping down below their supposed tier. And coming in 12th place is the Auckland Warriors, or the New Zealand Warriors. Poor Warriors can't get a break. The good news is they have 3 remaining games in Auckland at home, including the Storm, Bulldogs, and Titans. Now, only one of those is going to be a really tough game, but definitely the Bulldogs and Titans, I definitely think they can get up them. They still need to face Penrith and the Cowboys, and both of these games are away. They also still need to face the Rabbitohs, but unfortunately, it is a home game for them, but it will be at the Sunshine Coast, which is a home game for neither team. I also didn't mention that some of these teams, games that are remaining are not going to be at their home ground. So this will be interesting to see if if being on the home side does give them an advantage. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't see the Warriors doing better than 12th. I definitely think they have had a lot of issues internally as well, but also with losing their coach, losing one of their best players in Reece Walsh. I definitely don't see them doing much better this year. Next year, hopefully being in Auckland a bit more will motivate them to keep going, but we'll have to wait and see. Coming in at number 13 spot is the Newcastle Knights. This is where we will get to the teams that have been really having tough times coming up. The Knights still have to face the Bulldogs at home, the Broncos away, Raiders at home, and Sharks at home. The other 2 games that I didn't mention against the Tigers and the Titans could still go either way, and those would lean towards the other team as they will be at home. But, however, those teams have the capability of upsetting the Knights, so I don't see them. But again, I think the Knights can pull a victory, but I also see that the other teams can pull a victory. So that's why I'm going to say Knights in the 13th spot. At 14th, we have the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Now, I'm not going to lie, the Bulldogs have shown massive improvement in the last few rounds. Unfortunately, I don't think it's enough to get him above this spot. The Bulldogs, though low on the ladder, have now started to find good form with coach Trent Barrett now gone and Mick Potter taking the reins. And with the rumours of Serraldo taking over as head coach next year, and also getting Crichton, Kickout, and a couple of other players to their team, and with Phil Gould take the reins and like how everything works, I definitely see the Bulldogs next year doing really, really well. The Bulldogs will have some easier games coming up, but they still need to take on the Cowboys at home, which their first game they had this year was against the Cowboys and they won. However, since then, the Cowboys have started to find form. So this is definitely going to be a tough one for them. Eels are going to be away, but I definitely see them upsetting Eels again. Sharks away, it's going to be a harder one. Manly at home, I definitely see the Bulldogs testing Manly, and the Warriors away, which I definitely think will go either way. So yeah, I'm going to say Bulldogs in the 14th spot, and this does mean we're now in the bottom two. My 15th pick on the ladder will beat the Gold Coast Titans. I legit thought after their performance in 2021, they would improve even more, and even said they would go for a premiership within the next few years, which clearly after this year, this is a very strong setback. However, the reason I put the Titans low above the Tigers is because the Tigers are just suffering on point differentium. So unless the Tigers get really good score in the next couple of weeks, I definitely think they're going to remain lower than the Titans. I don't see the Titans winning a game. I don't see the Titans actually winning a game, but with the Tigers, I do actually see them winning one game, but I don't see them winning a future. But for the Titans, I don't see them winning a future game. So the Titans will have to face. The Titans will still have to face the Raiders, the Storm, the Dragons, the Sea Eagles, which are teams that are much higher than them on the ladder, while the other two games they have remaining are Knights at Gold Coast and the Warriors in Auckland, which again, like I said, could go either way, but I would probably pick those two teams over the Titans. So yeah, 15th spot, Titans. I honestly have no idea what the hell happened to them. And as it pains me to say this, my pick for the wooden spoon this year and in last place will be the West Tigers. Sadly, my boys at the Tigers are not doing too good this year and don't have an easy season going forward, and because of this year, it will be the Tigers' first year that will get the wooden spoon. And honestly, I don't entirely blame the team. I know there are some team miscommitments in the team, but at the same time, there's a lot of issues going on around coaching. There's a lot of issues going around administration. The Tigers really don't have it out for them. Really don't have it good for them, and I really feel bad for them. Usually you would always get disappointed in your team for getting last place, but honestly, I just feel bad for my team. I honestly still support them with all my heart. I've supported them since 2010. They've not made a final since then, so thanks guys. But yeah, in saying that, I also want to mention the whole rigged situation. Tigers should have won that game, and technically if they did win this game, that would put Tigers above the Titans. So seeing that performance and stuff, I definitely do think the Tigers have it in them to cause an upset within the last couple of games that they have, the last few games that they have. Out of all the games that the Tigers have, there is only one that will have a good chance of winning, which is the Knights, and it is at their home ground. They have 3 more home games as well, but a game is in Tamworth with the Sharks, and their only 2 games away are with the Broncos and the Roosters. However, over their last 2 games against B-grade Panthers and being robbed by the full power Cowboys, the Tigers are starting to improve, and there is a chance that if they can cause an upset, and I'm going to call it with either between the Roosters like they did with the pre-trials, or the Sharks because that's neither a home game for them. So yeah, that is my ladder prediction for 2022, the NRL season. What did you think of my ladder prediction? Go ahead in the comments down below and tell me what you thought. Tell me how much of an idiot I am. Again, don't take this list with a grain of salt. I definitely think that this list can definitely change. Who knows? Maybe Tigers win the final 5 games and they actually come 14th on the ladder. I highly doubt it, but honestly, I reckon the Tigers have it in them to cause an upset this year, because they almost caused the biggest upset last week. But obviously, it's going to be interesting to see how the finals pan out this year, with the fact that a possible Queensland Grand Final rematch is on the cards. However, not very likely. However, if it is, I'd be very for that. So other than that, guys, if you guys like the video, like the video, obviously, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. And go the West Tigers.